All right, we are back here on the Just and the Suffering podcast, talking some college basketball, starring a run of college basketball shows. Joining me today, a new voice to the podcast. He covers college hoops on the New York Post. Zach Braziller is on the line today. Zach, welcome. How are you?
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Thanks again for coming on. And I got to say,
Of course.
I'm a big college basketball fan, and I have to say, I love the parity this year. I love the fact that anybody can beat anybody. It makes it so much fun. So, what do you think about this parity this year?
Yeah, I know there's some people that are a little down on it. They say, there isn't a great team, there isn't a great player. But yeah, I'm with you. I love it. I think it's unpredictable. I think it could be made for a great NCAA tournament, a great championship week. You know, you there there really isn't. I know people are really high on Butler and Kansas right now, Baylor and Kansas right now, but I don't think there's one team that if you told me they didn't make the Final Four, that would surprise me. And yeah, I think it's great. I wrote a while ago that it's like the opposite of college football, where everyone just knows who's going to be in the playoff, and to have the opposite, where it's just to me, there's so much up in the air, it just adds so much interest, to March, which is obviously the month that everyone loves.
Yeah, I love my March as well. We're getting ready for college basketball. March Madness coming up. Conference tournaments coming up soon. And what do you think? What do you think? I mean, as we said, there's a lot of great teams. Who do you think is the best team you've seen so far this year?
If we're talking about live, obviously I was at the Champions Classic. Kansas was very good. Duke was very good that night, but it was so long ago that it's hard to me, Kansas, I watched them the other day in Baylor. They looked nothing like the team I saw back in early November. I think Seton Hall's very good. I think Creighton's very good. I think Villanova's very good. I've obviously seen those teams live. Um, you know, I, I've watched some of San Diego State. I think they're a very good team. Really, as far as UNLV, I love the way they defend. I think Gonzaga's very good when you look at their size and their talent level and just how disciplined they are. I think there's a lot. There are probably 8 to 10 teams that could win it all, which is to me just is it's going to make March great because it's just going to be so up in the air and so much uncertainty, which is I think what most people love about this sport.
Yeah, you mentioned there's 8 to 10 teams could win it all. I think you can even see like up there to 20 to 25. You could make a case to make the Final Four, which I think is almost unheard of.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, I don't think you've ever seen, at least recently, the difference between like a 2 and a 3 seed and a 6 or 7 seed is going to be so minuscule that you're going to see a ton of upsets. I know we kind of say this every year, but I really think this year is just going to be an absolute free for all because the margin is just so small between these teams. When you take away the great players, we don't have nearly as many to the NBA guys this year in the sport. It just it leads to so much parity, and yeah, I think it's gonna be really good for the game.
Yeah, it will be a fun tournament for sure. We talked about some of the big like talented top teams here. Who do you think have been some of the biggest disappointments?
I mean, clearly North Carolina is one of them. I don't know if people thought they were a Final Four team, but I thought they were definitely a tournament team. Uh, they're having one of the worst seasons in program history. I believe they're 10-16 right now. They've obviously been a colossal disappointment. They had Cole Anthony coming in, one of the best freshmen in the country. Kid who's still going to be a lottery pick if he goes pro. They've obviously been a major disappointment. Texas is another team people thought would be better. I thought they would be a tournament team, and now this could be it for Shaka Smart if he doesn't finish really strong and somehow get into the tournament. Um, VCU was a team I thought that people had as a preseason top 25 team. Now it looks like with the fly they're on, that they have to win the A10 to get into the tournament. Washington, they added some really terrific freshmen, including Isaiah Stewart, and they're at the bottom of the Pac-12, and they don't even look like they're going to make the NIT. So I mean, there have been I think most people have Washington as a top 15 team at least, and there have been a lot of disappointments. Some of them have had to do with injury, and some of them just have to do with underperformance. Those probably would be mine. I would have listed Providence until this run they've been on. I would have had Providence as a big disappointment as well, but now It looks like they're at least in position to make the tournament, having a great year in the Big East after they were just such a disappointment in November, December, losing games to like Long Beach State and Penn. Um, so that they've kind of saved themselves a little bit here in February by putting together some wins.
Yeah, they have. I think the ACC in general has been very disappointing because, I mean, you said North Carolina. They might not get more than 4 or 5 teams in the tournament. It seems like very low for them.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I should have included them. I mean, I can't remember the last time the ACC was this down. I think I definitely see four. I think NC State could be a fifth. When I say the four, obviously the big three: Duke, Florida State, and Louisville. Virginia, I believe, will get in, and I think NC State, after that big win over Duke, has a pretty good shot. So they're getting at five, but you're looking at three very high-level teams and two other teams that could very well be one and done. It's stunning to watch. Usually Monday night you have always great ACC games. And this year you've had a few, but it's the league has just been so down. Look, we see it happen year to year. Leagues are good, then they go down a little bit when kids graduate. But I don't think anyone saw that the league basically being this poor. Like I said, I can't remember a time that the ACC was this mediocre.
I
It's
can't.
been a long, long time.
Yeah, it definitely has been a long, long time. And I think the biggest disappointment for me in terms of expectations is Michigan State because they were number one preseason. They didn't really have the whole team because Josh Langford got hurt at the start of the year, and then like they've been kind of just like floating around like the 3 to 5 range of the Big Ten, but that's nowhere near what people thought they could be at the start of the year.
Yeah, they were. I think they were a preseason pick of a lot of people to win the national title. I thought they'd be very good. I thought they'd be better than they've been, but I also wouldn't rule them out of going on a big March run. This is stuff Izzo does all the time. His teams kind of get it together slowly in February. They start playing their best in March, and then they get a nice draw. They pull off a big upset. I would not be. They're definitely a Final Four contender and still a national championship contender. I know they're probably not to be higher than a 4 or 5 seed, but they have had some nice wins of late. I know they got Maryland Saturday at in East Lansing. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win that game. They have been a little disappointing, but I think it's way too early to count them out. This is a team that's still with Cassius Winston and David Tillman and all those guys is very capable of going on a big run.
Yeah, they are capable of going on a huge run, and they're in one of the deepest leagues in the country. But the I think one of the other huge deep leagues is the one right around this area, the Big East. So can you talk about the depth of the Big East this year?
Yeah, it's clearly the best the Big East has been since it created the new league when all the teams left and they added Xavier and Butler and Creighton. This is clearly the best the league has been. I expect them to get the big three of Seton Hall, Villanova, and Creighton all to be top 4 seeds. The Big East has not had 3 teams in the top 16 since they recreated the league. And look, the Big East has been good, but it's fallen short in March. Villanova's kind of saved it by winning 2 national championships, but they haven't sent a lot of teams to the second weekend. This is the year, I think, where you can at least get 3 teams, Villanova, Creighton, and Seton Hall, into that second weekend, which would be significant for the league. You're adding UConn next year, so the league is only going to get stronger once Danny Hurley really starts to get it going at UConn, which I expect him to. I think the league has a good shot to get 7. I think Marquette's definitely in the tournament, even though they've had some slippers lately. I think Xavier's going to make it. I think Butler's clearly going to make it. And I think Providence is going to find its way in. They have 7 quadrangular wins. And for the league to get 17 and then to have the 3 big teams with high seeds with chances to see the league, it would be terrific, which would be really all they could have asked out of this year. The league it's a fun league. It's as aesthetically pleasing. The offense is good. The teams defend. It's I don't think anyone really thought once all those teams left that the league would get back to this level so fast. And now with UConn coming in next year, I mean, the Big East is clearly one of the best programs, one of the best conferences in the country.
Yeah, they are, and they have a legitimate Final Four contender, in my opinion, in Seton Hall. They haven't been that far since 1989, but I mean, they got a star in Miles Powell. They got great depth. They got a good big in Sandro Mamukelashvili. Like, what do you think about this Seton Hall team? Their chances to get to the Final Four this year?
Yeah, I mean, they I wouldn't call it a slump, but they did go through a little rough period where they lost at home to Xavier. They lost at Providence. They're down big. They lost a tough game at home to Creighton, but now they responded with a few wins last week. Yeah, I like them a lot. Miles Powell's shot's been a little iffy lately, and that's really something they need to figure out before the tournament. But I also think part of that is teams have been facing him for 4 years. They know how to defend him. Once you're in a tournament, you're facing teams that haven't played against him. It will be a little, at least a little different. Yeah, I mean, look, they defend really well. They have senior leadership with Powell, Quincy Knight, and Romaro Gill. Sandro Mambukaus really missed 7 weeks with a fractured wrist, and he's been terrific lately. He really gives them that consistent second score. He's a 6'11" lefty. He can shoot. He can create. I think he's their best pro prospect. This is a team that has to make it at least to the second weekend. And yeah, look, we'll see what the draw is like, but there's no question they have Final Four potential. Clearly the best season that they've had in a long, long time.
It has been, and for a while it looked like it could be a fun year for St. John's too, because I mean they had the great run in non-conference. They beat Arizona, they beat West Virginia. Everything fell apart in the Big East play. Like, what do you think went wrong for the Johnnies?
I think they overachieved a little early. You got to remember they lost 3 starters from last year's team with Shamori Pons, Justin Simon, and Marvin Clark. They're really depending on a lot of experienced guys who really haven't gone through this before. Mustafa Heron really hadn't played well in the Big East. Now he's out. He looks like he's out for the year with an F3 injury in his ankle. And the league is terrific. I think that's the biggest problem for St. John's. I think Mike Anderson is a very good coach. He's really given this program an identity with with how hard they play and with his full court pressing and trapping. If he could have come in with this team last year, they probably would have won 7 or 8 league games. The problem is he joined the Big East for the worst possible year to join the Big East. I have, St. John's fans have to be patient. I have complete confidence by year 3 they'll be a good team. They'll be knocking on the NCAA tournament door. I just think expectations are a little too high when they had the 2 nice non-conference wins. The league was just too good this year. They had a makeshift roster they have to put together late, and when you're in a conference as good as it was this year, that's just not going to work.
Yeah, they're not going to the tournament, but Rutgers looks like they will be. The first time since '91 that they're going to the dance. So, based on what you've seen out of Rutgers, what do you like about them?
Look, they really defend. Steve Pikiell's obviously a very good coach. Field Baker has hit some huge shots, but the one thing they can't win away from their building. They have 1 win away from the rack at Nebraska, which is one of the worst Power 5 teams in the country. The schedule the rest of the way is very difficult. I've said it for a few weeks now. I think they're going to be in Dayton for the first 4. I think the committee is going to say, look, your resume is decent, you have some really good home wins, but this problem of yours that you can't win away from your building is an issue. So you got to prove it to us that you deserve to be the main draw. So go to Dayton and win a game to kind of earn your way in, because look, the NCAA tournament's not played at the rack. The Rutgers have to win away from their building. If I'm in that committee, I worry they push the tournament. You guys, what makes us think you guys are going to perform when you haven't been able to win on the road, and now they've lost a few in a row here? I think they need to win at least 1 more game to get to Dayton. I think 2 more so you get to the main draw. So, I think Rutgers fans are getting a little uneasy here. They're used to so much failure. They're kind of thinking this could be a collapse. I don't see it quite as that bad. I think they'll find their way in, but I think they're going to be in Dayton.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see what happens with them there. Another team before we get to, I think, another team in the local area. They're probably not going to the dance this year, but what do you think of UConn this year? I know last year in the AAC before they head to the Big East again.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I thought they would be a little better. I didn't think they'd be a tournament team, but I thought they would at least be kind of in the mix, and they're clearly not there yet. It's obviously going to take a little longer for Danny over at UConn to get it going. Now, they do have one very good bright spot. James Bouknight, his freshman wing, looks like he's going to be an absolute star. He's going to be one of the best players in the Big East next year. He's terrific. He's really come on as this season's gone on, and they have been better. They've had some nice wins. They beat Memphis. So they beat Tulsa. They have shown some signs. Look, Danny is a terrific coach. I have no question he's going to get that program turned around. It just might take maybe a year or 2 longer than everyone hoped for. But there's no doubt they're going to be a lot to deal with in the Big East in the years to come, and it's going to really improved that conference, which was already pretty good.
Yeah, it has been pretty good, and we all talk about the big guys in March, but the real stars of the tournament, in my opinion, are the little guys, the mid majors, who can come in and make some noise. We have some interesting mid majors in the area. Anybody catching your eye right now? Teams that you think could be interesting to watch? They go through their conference tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking local, there's no doubt Hofstra is clearly the best mid major in this area. I don't even think it's close. Now they're 2 up in the CAA with 2 games to play. They're going to win that league for the second straight year. They have. It's funny. It's the year after they lose Justin Rice Foreman, who was one of the best mid major players in the country, just a terrific college player. And here they are headed back to win another league title. And I think they're going to get it done this year. I think they're better defensive than they did. They're more balanced. Last year they were just so dependent on Rice Foreman, and this year, whether it's the short Bowie, it's Eli Pemberton, it's Isaac Conte, they have a lot of weapons. Tariq Coburn, and they really have a lot of options. And this year the conference tournament's not only down south in Charleston, it's in Washington D.C., which you would think maybe more of their fans can get to. I think they're going to finally get in, which it would be 19 years the last time they went dancing. I think this is really the time, and I think they're going to be tough to match up with. They're a very good offensive team. They play 4 out. They can really shoot the three. They're not going to be an easy team to beat in the tournament either.
No, they're not. And I might be a little biased. I've seen a lot of their games this year because of this league, but I think they're not going to be a high seed in the tournament, whoever comes out of the Metro Atlantic. But like that league, top to bottom, has been very competitive. I mean, 1-7 as of day of recording. It's separated by about like 3 games.
Yeah, look, I mean, Iona's really come on. You never count them out. They won 5 or 6. They had a great comeback against Ryder, down 5 with 30 seconds left. I know Tim Poose is on the sideline, but Arnold's done a terrific job keeping that team together when it looked like it could really splinter and they could kind of, fall the bottom of that league. No one's going to want to see those maroon jerseys up in Atlantic City.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Zach, thanks for all the time today. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can people follow you on social media and keep up with what you're doing in the post?
Yeah, my Twitter is nypost_Brazil. That's nypost_BRAZILLE. I'm on Twitter a lot, as my wife could attest to, and I definitely will respond to you as long as it's civil and it's respectful, and even if it's a little insulting, I usually respond to at least once. So, feel free to ask me anything and to reach out to me if you want.
Yeah, and Zach actually recently got shouted out by Iron Eagle during the Seton Hall St. John's broadcast, so his name's getting bigger.
Thanks, and yeah, my boss sent me the link, and I was pretty glad to put it on Instagram, and Iron Eagle's the best. Guy's an absolute legend.
Yeah, he is. Zach, thanks for all the time today. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Have a good one, all right?